Welcome. And today we are taking a little break from the usual drama by checking out some posts from some budding comedians on Reddit. Hi, this is Derek. I just put the Drama Llama, Fred, back in his pen so that I can do this quick video for you with some of the stuff that Fred found on Reddit earlier today. Fred says these posts will help us to wash away all that other drama, so that we don't take ourselves too seriously. Oh boy, let's get ready for some jokes. Cyclopropagative jokingly posted. A little girl says to her mother, "Mummy, when you were away at work a strange lady came around." "Not now," says Mummy. "Wait until Daddy gets home." So they wait until Daddy gets home, and then Mummy says, "Now dear, what were you saying about Daddy and the strange lady?" And Daddy starts to say something but Mummy says, "You keep quiet, I'll be talking to my attorney in the morning. Carry on, dear." The little girl says, "Daddy told me to stay downstairs while they went upstairs. But I followed them and I saw them hugging and kissing at the top of the stairs. Then they went into your bedroom and shut the door, but I went up and looked through the keyhole." Mummy said, "What could you see through the keyhole?" "I saw them hugging and kissing and then they started to take each other's clothes off. And then the lady got on the bed and Daddy got on top of her." "Yes," says Mummy. "And then what happened?" "Then they did what you and Uncle Jack did when Daddy was in Vancouver last year," says the little girl. Olian jokingly posted. A man who just died is delivered to a local mortuary wearing an expensive, expertly tailored black suit. The mortician asked the deceased's wife how she would like the body dressed. She points out that the man does look good in the black suit he is already wearing. The widow, however, says that she always thought her husband looked his best in blue, and that she wants him in a blue suit. She gives the mortician a blank check and says, "I don't care what it costs, but please have my husband in a blue suit for the viewing." The woman returns the next day for the wake. To her delight, she finds her husband dressed in a gorgeous blue suit with a subtle chalk stripe. The suit fits him perfectly. She says to the mortician, "Whatever this cost, I'm very satisfied. You did an excellent job and I'm very grateful. How much did you spend?" To her astonishment, the mortician presents her with the blank check. "There's no charge." "No, really, I must compensate you for the cost of that exquisite blue suit." "Honestly, ma'am," the mortician says, "it cost nothing. You see, a deceased gentleman of about your husband's size was brought in shortly after you left yesterday. And he was wearing an attractive blue suit. I asked his wife if she minded him going to his grave wearing a black suit instead. And she said it made no difference as long as he looked nice. So I just switched the heads." Ray and Red jokingly shared. A mom visits her son for dinner who lives with a girl as a roommate. During his meal, his mother couldn't help but notice how pretty his roommate was. She had long been suspicious of a relationship between the two and this had only made her more curious. Over the course of the evening while watching the two interact, she started to wonder if there's more between him and his roommate. Reading his mom's thought, the son volunteered. "I know what you must be thinking. But I assure you, we are just roommates." About a week later, his roommate came to him saying, "Ever since your mother came to dinner, I've been unable to find the silver plate. You don't suppose your mother took it, do you?" He said, "Well, I doubt it, but I'll email her just to be sure." He sat down and wrote, "Dear Mom, after your visit at me, the silver plate has been missing. I'm not saying that you did take the silver plate from my house. And I'm not saying that you didn't take it. But the fact remains that it has been missing ever since you were here for dinner. Love, your son." Several days later, he received an email from his mother which read, "Dear son, I'm not saying that you do sleep with your roommate. And I'm not saying that you don't sleep with her. But the fact remains that if she was sleeping in her own bed, she would have found the silver plate by now, under her pillow. Love, Mom." Scadstorm jokingly posted. The first man was brought forward and before they could shoot him he yelled avalanche. The firing squad panicked and in the confusion, the man jumped over the wall and into freedom before the firing squad could regroup. The second man thought what the first man did was clever. And when he was brought forward for his execution, he yelled earthquake. Again, the firing squad panicked and the second man took advantage of it to jump over the wall and into freedom. The third man thought he saw the pattern, and that is to yell a disaster and then jump over the wall. When he was finally brought forward, with a smirk on his face, he yelled, "Fire!" Aksha Joe 6 got the courage to post. My girlfriend said, "You act like a detective too much. I want to split up." "Good idea," I replied. "We can cover more ground that way." Eternal Panda 379 posted. A man's wife sends him out to get some cigarettes. So he walks down to the nearby store only to find that it's closed. He goes into a nearby bar to use the vending machine. While at the bar he sees a beautiful woman and starts talking to her. They have a couple of beers together, and then one thing leads to another and they end up in her apartment. After they've had their fun, he realizes that it's 3 a.m. and says, "Oh no. It's so late. My wife's going to kill me. Have you got any talcum powder?" She gives him some talcum powder, which he proceeds to rub on his hands, and then he leaves. When he arrives home, his wife is waiting for him and she is pretty pissed. "Where the hell have you been?" "Well, honey, it's like this. I went to the store like you asked, but they were closed. So I went to the bar to use the vending machine. I saw this great looking chick there, and we had a few drinks and one thing led to another. And I ended up in bed with her." "Oh yeah? Let me see your hands." She sees his hands are covered with powder and shouted, "You liar. You went bowling again." Fat Freddy's coat jokingly posted. An old cowboy walks into the barber shop for a shave and a haircut. And he tells the barber he can't get all his whiskers off because his cheeks are wrinkled from age. The barber gets a little wooden ball from a cup on the shelf and tells the old cowboy to put it inside his cheek to spread out the skin. When he's finished, the old cowboy tells the barber that was the cleanest shave he's had in years. But he wanted to know what would have happened if he had swallowed that little ball. The barber replied, "Well, you just would have to bring it back in a couple of days. Like everyone else does." Great Gobbledygook posted with. A cop waits for a bar to close and watches for drunks to drive off. The first man out the door stumbles, wanders around looking for his car. Then drops the keys under his car and starts crawling around looking for them. The cop, knowing if he waits until the guy finds his keys and pulls out he'll have a DUI arrest, so he sits and watches him for a while. Eventually, the man finds his keys and fumbles with the lock a while, and eventually gets into the car and cranks it. By the time he pulls onto the road, his is the last car in the parking lot and the cop hits the blue lights and pulls him over. He administers a breathalyzer test and can't believe the results. 0%. "I don't understand," says the cop. "You were staggering around, losing your keys, crawling on the ground. Explain yourself." "Simple," the man says. "I'm the designated decoy." Flip63 jokingly posted. An Irishman took his son to the bar on his birthday to buy him his first drink. The father bought his son a stout, but he didn't like it. And didn't want to drink it. The father decided to drink it for him and ordered an ale instead. He didn't like it either. So, the father drank it and ordered him a cider. Lager, cider, cream ale. He didn't like any of them. So the father drank them and ordered whiskey instead. He didn't like any of the Irish whiskeys the father ordered, so the old man drank them and decided to give up. By the time they left the bar, the father was so drunk, he could barely push his son's stroller home. Gil Gandil jokingly posted. This young lad gets in the elevator. I'm standing by the buttons, so he says, "5th floor, mate?" When we get there I say, "There you go, son." And he says, "Don't call me son. You're not my dad." And I say, "No. But I brought you up. Didn't I?" And finally, Bitchy Olive posted. There were these two blondes and they locked their keys in their car. The one blonde says to the other, "What do we do? Do we get a coat hanger and pick the lock?" The other one replied, "No, people will think we're trying to break in." "Well, Do we get a knife and cut the rubber and pop the lock? The other one answered, no, people will think we're too stupid to use the coat hanger. Well, we better think of something quick. Because it's starting to rain, and the sunroof is open. Wow. You know, these blonde jokes just get better and better. Well, there you have it. A perfectly great set of jokes posted by a bunch of fine and funny citizens. Help support this channel by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. And hit that silly little bell as well to ensure you get the latest videos as they come out. Fred is always finding stuff for me to post regularly. So this is Derek signing off. Thanks for watching. Good grief, it sounds like Fred is out of his pen again. He must have found more funny jokes for me to share with you. See you soon.